Watching every movement I make, you remind me. Tripping over my winter scarf, I fall again. Applause, the class, holding hostage once more to be or not to be. The same tokens me by the neck. I will be racing through the night. I'll try again to do what could be right. Terrified of the mask I made behind my soul that's been afraid. Scream against the snow, the muffling of pure words I'll never know. I'm my own foe. Getting up again, the world joins me in refrain. Weakness, power, pride inside my heart are retained. I'll tie up my scarf, let the blood run till it's dry. I'll pass the loss I've seen. Can't take me out to be or not to be. The story plays out once again. I will be racing through the night. I'll try again to do what could be right. Terrified of the mask I've made behind my soul that's been afraid. Scream against the soul, the imagery of pure words I'll start to show. I'll guard my soul. I can write this path that you wrote for me. I work for the last that you've given to me. I'll fight till inside I love me. I'll live with your strength growing in me. Racing through the night, I'll try to do what I know is right. I'll take off this mask I've made, my soul healed through its final stage. Dancing in the snow, the happy pure tears, your tears on musical flow. You save my soul. Racing through the night, I'll try again to do what could be right. Hiding behind the mask, I'll keep fighting. Waiting for me, the world has become my stage. Watching every movement I make, you remind me. Tripping over my winter scarf, I fall again. Applause, the class, holding hostage once more to.
Hey, I'm Eggy Drago. I am the cream of the crop. I am the yolk on top. I'm a part-time video store clerk, a part-time brawler. Oh yeah, and a full-time human being. Wow. When I went to Tokyo back in February 2024, I went to an idol concert on a whim because my VTuber Oshi, who graduated, was into that scene. Needless to say, I got hooked. Yeah, I think we bought too many Checkies. After talking to a few idols, I realized every single one of them has a story, be it why they chased this dream, their ups and downs, and even their future after all this. And that's what I'm here to do. Learn more about the idol culture, the various scenes around the world, and to give them a platform to tell their stories. Every idol has a dream and a story to tell. This is IDOLEYEZ.
try again to do what could be right. Hiding behind the mask, I'll keep fighting.
Fighting Evil by Moonlight, Idol Community Admin by Daylight. We'll talk to Pawn Ranger about their solo career and how they became involved in the East Coast kaigai idol community. Henshin a Go-Go, baby. Idolize, episode 16. Pawn Ranger. Tonight, 5 p.m. PDT, 8 p.m. EDT. Yeah! Whoa. Oh my god. It's alright, it takes a little. Alright, there we go. Whoa. We're here. We're back. This is, well, I am the cream of the crop. I am the yolk on top. This is Mighty Eggy Drago. We're back in the States for Idolize episode 16 with our guest tonight. They are a Kamen Rider Excite aficionado. They love Power Rangers Ninja Storm. They are an undefeated bare knuckle champion. This is the icon. This is the legendary Pawn Ranger. Pawn Ranger, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Hi, everyone.
Hello. And, yeah. So, Pawn is here for Idolize episode 16. Yeah. Let's get the show on the road and take you back to the past. And I'll ask you, who or what got you into idol culture / J-pop culture?
So, way back in the day when I was 8 years old with unmonitored internet access, I found myself on YouTube, as most kids did, and I found videos from this old group called Nimoni, right? And I was like, oh, what is this? But, like, it sort of stayed in my head, and I was like, oh, what is this? And then, like, from there, I got into, like, Vocaloid stuff, and then from there, I was interested in, like, Odorite. This is, like, the dance covers. There's two prongs to this story. That is that story of being an 8-year-old with internet access. And then the other one that is, when I was younger, my dad went to music school in the 90s, and he went to music school out in California. And he had made a bunch of friends there. One of them was a musician from Japan. And as I got a little bit older, do you remember that show, Puffy Amiyumi?
Oh, of course, yeah.
So I really very much enjoyed that show when I was a kid. And my dad would, like, get CDs from, like, his friend in California who was from Japan. It would be like Puffy. It would just be like Puffy. So there's the idol side of it, and then there's the J-pop, general J-pop side of me getting into idol culture. And as I got older, I kind of fell out of it. And then in high school, again, I started getting into Love Live.
Oh. It's everyone's, like, gateway.
So, like, it's everyone. Yeah. And I was part of, and that was like, oh, well, like, I remember doing, like, dance stuff when I was, like, a young teenager. I could probably do this dance cover thing that's really popular right now. And I started getting into it again, and a bunch of people were like, hey, actually, people do original stuff with this. I have a server that you can join, and you can learn how to, like, do the soloist, like, or be a soloist or be in a group, but do original stuff. That was cool. So that's the entry point.
Can I ask, who is your favorite Love Live girl?
So if you had asked me this years ago, I would have said Diane Ruby. But now it is Hanamaru.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No one really picks Hanamaru, I'd say. Zura.
The-
Mirai
It's the
Zura.
Hanamaru loving.
So you got, well, Buffy on Yumi, Love Live, boom. I guess pre Pawn Ranger. Did you do like any vocal lessons, any dance classes, anything prior to that?
So I was a classically trained pianist.
Ooh.
If I see any PP jokes in the chat, but I had learned piano when I was a kid. My dad's a musician, obviously, so it kind of runs in the family. But I didn't really take any vocal lessons at all until I was a little bit older. But I don't really have any formal training outside of playing piano when I was younger. So I sort of have just self-taught over the course of the past 4 or 5 years. I've only been doing Pound Ranger for 3 years, but over the course of these past 4 or 5 years, getting back into idol stuff, I do everything myself.
I see. So building off of that, what really made you have that decision, have that idea of becoming an idol?
Let me think. So I really wish I had a big grand emotional answer other than I thought this would be really fun. And at the time, I was like, I need something new to do because I want to get back into making music. And I was like, oh cool, okay, here's this community of people. All right, let's check it out. This looks cool as hell.
All right. So I guess with mostly everyone I've interviewed on IDOLEYEZ, it's mostly outside of a few, outside of Aiden and maybe Alex Pinku. Most of them have don't really have a defined gimmick, or not gimmick, concept. That's a better way of saying it, but a better concept. With you, you're unique because you actually have something that makes you stand out with the Tokusatsu concept. What came about with that?
So I had grown up a little bit with Toku. So I grew up with Ultraman and obviously Power Rangers, as most kids in the States did in the early 2000s. But I and also Kaiju Big Battle.
Ooh, oh my god, wow, that's a deep cut.
Yeah. But I started getting back into it because one of my friends was like, hey, have you seen any of the Godzilla movies ever? And I was like, oh, maybe 1 or 2 when I was very young, but not really. And so we sat over the course of a couple of months and we worked through all of the Showa Godzilla films around the same time that I was discovering that there was an original idol scene in the US. And I was thinking, I was sitting there watching it, and in Mothra, they have this old ass J-pop group duo, proto idol, called the Peanuts, and they play the Shobijin. And I was like, oh yeah, cool, that's really interesting. And then of course I started getting into more different stuff. So I started getting into Showa Kamen Rider stuff, and I started getting into the 90s Super Sentai series. And I was thinking it'd be really cool if I combine these things that I'm really enjoying with this new thing that I'm getting into. And it's really stuck together. And it's the things that I think about is there's my original thought was oh well, a lot of this Showa stuff was made on the cheap. I can probably do that in my garage. So I could probably bring those elements of tokusatsu in with the idol stuff alongside like the branding or whatever. And I started to explore that more and more, and I was like, oh, this really works together. But now as I've continued on and like developed more stuff and had watched more and more things, and taken inspiration from more and more things, I see that tokusatsu as a genre has really like reinvents itself basically every year. Like a new series like will reinvent on top of like its own thing. Like you think like Super Sentai, there are some core things that make it a Super Sentai series. Right. But then on top of that, then you have like the themes and the gimmicks for each season. And it's like the same thing with Ultraman. It's the same thing with Kamen Rider. It's the same thing with a lot of stuff. And I was like, oh, cool. So like even within this concept, there are so many different avenues I can take with in regards to doing this. And so like as the longer I go on with the like more I think like the longer I go on with this, the more I think about how to utilize the things that make Tokusatsu unique to my own thing, and it just like it keeps going like a fine wine.
Like, it's good to like bring in like influences like that, like going out of the way to like watch different like tokusatsu like shows like Kamen, like Super Sentai. So I get ya. Ooh, I want to ask, what is the origin of Pawn Ranger, the actual name?
So this I don't want to say character, but this idea kind of originated was one of the Love Life groups I was doing was about to pivot to original content, and that never actually panned out. Pun intended. But I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to do like a tokusatsu character, like a Kamina-esque character. Even though Kamina's not Kamina is mecha, but like a Kamina-esque type character that takes inspiration from tokusatsu, because they were very like the idea of like idol sonas was big at the time, and that project unfortunately just never like out. And I was like, you know what? This is my idea. I can use whatever I want. So I was like, all right, well, I now need a new name because I can no longer be like name of the idol group Rider. So it's like, and I was like, well, what sounds good and is to people like that like immediately says like what it is on the tin. And I was like, well, I like bread. And in the States, most people associate tokusatsu with Power Rangers.
Right.
Pawn Ranger.
Ooh. Simple and effective. So. So.
And I was like, you know what? I'll change it maybe after. And it stuck.
So you got the name, you got the concept down. Do you remember the very first show you did as Pawn Ranger?
So this was Anime NYC 2019. And I did a hallway event with a couple of local idols. A local idol was like, hey, your stuff's kind of interesting and you're brand new and fresh. Would you like to do a hallway thing? And I'm like, sure. And that was the first time I'd ever performed under Pawn Ranger.
Did you have like any like, were you nervous? Was there like any stage fright?
I was terrified.
Oh.
I don't know if any. So if you've been to the Javits Center is this massive convention center, obviously in New York City. They hold New York Comic Con there. They hold ANYC there. And so it's like, I want you to imagine it's my first time performing. I'm wearing a silly little costume. I have this gigantic helmet on my head, which I'm going to go and grab.
All right.
All right.
Yo, oh my god,
I
wow.
This gigantic helmet on my head, which will not go over my ears because I have headphones on. And I'm like, and I'm about to perform Surprise Drive. And I think Alive Alive? 2 songs. And as of us preparing to go, we partnered up with a local like group that does like random dance plays, and they have this giant speaker, and we're like, fantastic, we'll bring our own speaker, but they have the speaker situation covered. And then their speaker dies.
Oh no.
And we're like, oh no. So we bring over our own speaker, and it's supposed to be like charged, and it goes good for about 30 minutes while this group is doing the random dance play, and then that dies.
Oh no.
Another person within the dance group tries to finish out their set using like a Beats pill speaker, and then that dies.
Oh my god.
And another person has another Beats pill speaker because it's like a dance group that runs random dance plays. You have to have contingencies for contingencies. And we're like, please, last. And so we have no mic. We're kind of just raw dogging. And at that point, I'm like terrified. I'm like, oh god, this is like actually the worst case scenario.
Oh no.
And it's happening right now. So I was terrified. I got through it, and for years it was like such like a hard spot for me because I was like, oh man, I bungled that. Am I allowed to swear?
You're
I know
good.
I've said like ass.
Yeah, you're good.
I was like, I fucked that right up.
Oh no.
I will never work in this town again. And then I go, after the event, I get the footage back, and I'm like, this will never see the light of day. And I had the realization dawns on me as I'm coming back to reality and getting out of my own head, and I'm like, I could just not post that.
You couldn't. Yeah.
and be able to move on with myself.
Right.
Hell yeah, brother, let's do it. And that's the story of my first performance ever as Pond Ranger.
Well, at least you got through it, and at least we could just at least talk about it like in retrospect.
Yeah, it's a funny story. It's what's the phrase, type C kind of fun or something like that.
So
where, at the time it's scary, but but when you think about it years down the line, it's like, oh.
So would you consider that like the toughest gig that you've done ever?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I would say. Yeah. I would say maybe the toughest gig I have done was when I was on tour. And I had done performances back to back.
Oh.
Like once a week. So while I was on tour, the entire month of July, I had something scheduled every single weekend. And I think the hardest one is realistically, just in retrospect, just on my body and mentally, was Otakon. Just because I was just doing stuff back to back, and like it'd be different but that's like traveling across the country and like spending hours in an airport and doing like flight transfers, and travel sucks.
Yeah, it does.
But it was the hardest because of the circumstances. But the people that I worked with for Otakon were absolutely fantastic, and were like really helped me get through it.
I see.
I love them.
I want to ask. Usually, a lot of the people on IDOLEYEZ, they do performances and they do cover songs in their set. What, like, say like a typical Pawn Ranger set? What would it like consist of?
So, thing. So usually I try to, as of this past year, I have really to call in mix and Orege, from Wotege, which is like Orege and Chikage. But I've really gotten into those subseries because my friend Ella is a bad influence. Starting from Northwest Idol Fest, and I've started incorporating more like Chica Idol music in my sets, and I'm a very big fan of Plank Stars. And so my sets usually consist of Tokusatsu, Becca Annie song, something from Plank Stars, or something that is like an Anikura hit. So like I love doing DXE by Momo Halko. And then now that I've released original music, I now have original music in my, and that's been really fun.
I see. Ooh, something else. Well, on your website it said you technically debuted the Pawn Ranger concept May 2021. So like during the pandemic, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what was it like trying to promote and perform during lockdown or during the pandemic?
So, oh yeah, it was right near the lockdown. I had started learning about the community and actually starting to put myself out there in October of 2020. But I was still learning stuff. I was still kind of like lurking around like communities. And I will say that the pandemic really did kill off a lot of the pre-pandemic community, which is really unfortunate. And I was in that starting to promote my stuff in 20, when like there was like almost nothing, like almost no new debut. Of the people that I like, the 5 or 6 people that I debuted with over the pandemic, like I think I'm the one left.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So it was very much like a very high turn. People checking out, I'm not saying this as like a bad thing either. This is like, it's just people got into hobbies during the pandemic, and then once life picked back up, they decided to move on. And so it was very, very barren is the right word for that. So it was tough. It was also tough being taken seriously, because at the time a lot of people were like, that's not idol enough to me. A lot of people were encouraged, like they saw like that my passion was real, but that needs to be more a specific idol way in order for it to be taken seriously. And at the time there wasn't any like performance spaces opened back up yet, so that I could start proving like, no, this concept works and has fans and people like it, and I like it.
Yeah.
So I pushed through then until stuff started opening back up in 2022.
I see. Yeah. Ashes said, well, Punk Rock Yohane, aka Ashes, said people don't understand idol as a concept and not a specific music genre. Yeah. You don't have to like stick to one thing. Like not everyone has to be a QT idol, and not everyone has to be a punk idol, so or an alt idol.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That's you don't have to be like one specific like mold or fit like a specific mold. Like that's the point of idol.
Yeah, it's like in hindsight, I think it is very funny because I'm also a fan of Momodo Clipper, who before their current iteration is very like wrestling inspired, Toku inspired, especially like the 5-member lineup. And also like Kamen Rider Girls exist. The idol group that is literally representative of a whole tokusatsu series. And then there's so many other things that I can think of that are like have the similar concepts of that are popular and they work and there's proof of concept isn't the right word, but like it is weird in hindsight being like, this your concept Pawn Ranger is not idle enough, like the way that you're trying to go about it, not idle enough, when it doesn't matter if it's idle enough, but there are idols that are active that have similar concepts to what I do.
Right. I see. Yeah, like absolutely you don't have to like fit like one specific ideal. So that's what makes idol, I'd say. So you released 2 original tracks and we're gonna talk about them right now. In November last year you released Guardian, which is a banger. What was the creative process like for that song, and how did you like find the specific like producer, lyricist for that track?
So I had this idea again. All the genesis for the way that my project is currently is Northwest Idol Fest 2022, because the experience was just so good that I felt motivated to like continue working on stuff. And around the time I was getting into Sympho Gear, I'm not sure if you're familiar with.
I am a little teeny tiny bit. I know.
But yeah. And the music from that, and I was like, okay, I'd like to do something that sounds like this, but I would also like to work with creators that understand what I'm like doing with my stuff. And so there's Jem, and Jemmy Mamu, and he is a very prolific composer in the idol community. He is very good at what he does.
For sure.
Oh, absolutely. And like he is also familiar with like that like kind of henshin hero genre of like but specifically under like the magical girl kind of stuff. And I showed him at the time. He was like, I really need to fund a project. I am offering my services for a discounted rate with commercial license. It's like composition with a melody line at a discounted rate because I need to fund a project. And I'm like, perfect, I have money. Here you go, king. And I showed him the playlist. Is this something that you'd be interested in taking on? He's like, yes, absolutely. Melancholia is also a big fan of Toku stuff. He is. We're cooking up something in private.
Ooh.
We're both at Northwest Idolfest staff. If we say that, but we're cooking up stuff. Like, oh, we're both like, but I knew that fan of like Sentai and Kamen Rider and stuff, and he had opened up his services to like write lyrics because he writes lyrics for I think most of his original music. And I was like, perfect. I know a guy that would 100% understand what I'm going for. And I brought it to him and I was like, hey, would you be interested in taking on this project? I'm working with Jemmy Memu. This is the demo so far. What do you think? And he was like, yes, absolutely, 100%. And what's I'm trying to think of what during the process. He had some like personal hardships, and I was like, hey man, if you need to take a break, while writing this, I can't, like, you can, like, this doesn't need a set date to come out yet.
Right.
And he's like, no, I'm going to use my emotions and also this movie that just came out in the States to work through it. That movie that just came out in the States was Shin Kamen Rider.
Oh wow.
uh, so Guardian is very much inspired by like the basic themes of the original Kamen Rider series. So he was like, oh, perfect, wonderful. He's like, am I allowed to do that? I'm like, yes. Wonderful. And that's how Guardian all came together. The guy that did the mastering, Yomix, or is it Yomix, I think. He was someone that Jem had recommended because he had worked with him on the stuff that he did done for Lulubito.
Oh wow.
Is that how you pronounce her name? Lulubito?
I think that's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, perfect. Like, I'll reach out to him, and that's how the whole team was and Guardian came to be.
Yeah, and it resulted in a really, really, really good song. Like probably like one of my favorite like original kaigai idol songs, for sure.
Oh my, that makes me really happy to hear.
I really like it. Included with Guardian is a B-side. It's not an original, but it is Happy Point by Shinohara Tomoe. Was there like any reason you wanted to cover that song?
I was deeply in the trenches of trying to find any English language stuff about Tomoe Shinohara. And if any of you guys are unfamiliar with, she is a musician and model who is known for being, in the most loving words possible, fucking annoying.
Ooh.
Like she's very loud and hyper too. It was very loud and hyper. She was like the progenitor for Decora with all the Decora, the gigantic like on the pack. And I adore her. I love her sense. I love her energy. I love her style. And I was listening through her music, and I was like, oh, I really like this. And I came across this, it's like mellow than a lot of her tracks tend to be, which is Happy Point. It's deeply 90s. I don't know how else to
Yeah, I'd say so too.
but I feel like the best way to. So I was like, oh, I'd really like to have some B-side for Guardian. I actually have that right here in front of me.
Buy the album. Buy the album. Buy the album.
Yeah. Buy the album. Buy the album.
Show Zone.
Show Zone. And the lyrical content is kind of in contrast to Happy Point. Here's my J. You guys can't really see that. That's I have a very rough translation for Happy Point in the CD that I made myself. And it really spoke to me as like just as someone that's by had like kind of fought through like doing idol stuff, if that makes sense, like to be seen as legitimate and have people take my work very seriously. And it was like, because some like my personal to keep going no matter what, as long as it makes me happy. And the song is about like finding your passion and staying with it because it makes you feel satisfied with yourself, even if people don't vibe with you, if that makes sense.
Right.
Or not, or vibe with what makes you happy. and I like it, and it just fit nice and perfect right next to Guardian. Both of them are very electronic sounding tracks.
Yeah, I was very curious, like, about the inclusion. It is a good song, but I was like, why Happy Point? So I just wanted to ask.
I have not yet covered Happy. I'd like to do so. Perhaps at Northwest Idol Fest.
Yeah, I want to see it. I want to see it. So after that, Guardian was your first original, and then June of this year, you released Pan Ranger Sanjo. What was the creative process for that song like?
So I had been cooking, where I was like, I have a couple ideas, and I wanted to start. I was like, I have money to get them made, or to start getting them made. And I found someone composed. It was recommended to me, named All Might Studio. He does mainly rock work, but I'd started at the time branching out to like idol music. And Pan Ranger Sanjo was kind of like cooking, I think, since 2022.
Ooh, wow.
And or at least like the end of 2022, start of 2023. And production for that kind of like went alongside Guardian, and we got it all finished up this year. And I kind of just opened up myself to like, 'cause I was like, oh, here's some like core visions that I want, something a little bit more like not standard idly, like a bit less heavy lyrically than like Guardian is, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I worked with All My Studio for that, and the lyrics are written by his at the time in-house lyricist Mayumi, who is a really good lyricist. I actually like a lot of her music that she does. She finally set up a bunch of her social a bit before the release of Pan Ranger Sanjo, which makes me really happy because her music is good. Her music is more like indie rock sound, and this was also kind of like an experiment for her to play with like the Tokusatsu like hero and yeah, and then everything kind of fell in Pan Ranger Sanjo came out. I originally was going to release it on my anniversary, but just some we had a couple of delays away, and not anyone's fault. Not anyone's fault. But and then we released it on June 30th. So the theme for the Pan Ranger Sanjo stuff is like anniversary.
Very sentimental. That's what I was like assuming from like the lyric video with like all the pictures from everyone.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Ooh, I want to ask, with Sanjo having Japanese lyrics, at the time of production, like how well was your proficiency in Japanese?
Nihongo mada desu. My Japanese is still not very good, but it was like my pronunciation was fine, like because I had done covers of Japanese songs before. I see in chat Nihongo
Jozo.
God damn. So I was comfortable with doing a song in Japanese, and I had like a vague gist of like what the lyrics are. I just need to get a translation of it. I had done the usual asking the lyricist about about the lyrics and stuff. But yeah, my Japanese was at the time not great, but now is a little better.
That's good to hear. I see. So, taking it full circle, the first time I discovered you was on YouTube actually. So, after I like really got into like idols after going to Japan, I think I searched up like kaigai idols, and then I think your channel came up, and the latest thing that was there was your birthday live, which also had Royal there. So that's how I discovered you, and that's how I discovered Royal for the first time. That was like in March, I'd say. So let's talk about the birthday live.
Alright.
What was it like organizing a live like that?
So I knew while I was on tour last year that I wanted to do like a standalone event. My friend Cherry, I don't know if she is still running or if she closed her Dream Stage related stuff. She ran an event in Florida called Dream Stage. It was like a standalone venue event where she would invite a couple of performers that were local, and she'd rent out like a venue space, and people would come and they'd pay for tickets, and they'd come and they'd go see a standalone show, which was really cool. And I was like, what if I could bring that to the Northeast? How much would that cost? And I started like developing it like there, and I had done a couple of like cursory searches of like, do I want to do this in New York City? Do I want to do this in Philly? Do I want to do New Jersey? And then things didn't really start to gel together until December, or like in late November, December, where I was like, you know what? I think we should do this in Philly, or at least in New Jersey near Philly. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. In near Philly, around, and go Birds. And I made some definite things. I was like, okay, I want to invite people to perform that I know would be free, or probably would be free in the area at time, that I would invite to a birthday party. Like, just even if it was like just a private birthday party. And so I invited Alex Pinku, I invited Royal, I invited Ur, I invited Celestia. I was not able to make it just because she had a health issue that day. Mm. Yeah, I see Royal. I'm invited to Pon's birthday party. And that's wow. The way I'm like, do I have another person that I invited to perform? Like, I didn't invite all my Ella.
Yeah.
My bad influence. I'm a bad. And I was like, all these people are people that I would have invited to a birthday party anyway. And we put it on. I booked the venue. The people that run the venue were like really cool and really interested in like what we were doing. And I originally was just going to be like, you know what? We'll just raw dog it. I'll bring my portable speaker. The one that works that I got from Costco recently. Not the one from Anime NYC.
The 15 beat pills. Yeah, okay.
I picked up one to like do like hallway events or like out like guerrilla stuff. I was like, I'll just use like the speaker, the karaoke speaker with 2 mics I got, and we'll stream it on my Instagram live. Copyright be damned, and we'll see what happens, and we'll learn from it, and then we can get good. When we can get good equipment, we'll do it. My friend Ella is like, "Do you know in college I did AV?"
Ooh.
And I was like, "No, I didn't." And she was like, "This is my impression of her. I don't know why she's this. Why she's got the."
This is Gendo.
Like I did AV in college. I was like, "No, I didn't know that about you." And she was like, "I'm going to buy a bunch of equipment so we don't have to rent it, and you can borrow it for free, and I will open this up to any idol that might want an event, and that might want to run an event as long as I can come." I'm like, "That's wonderful." And then Royal was like, "Did you know I'm a streamer for Just Dance?" I'm like, yeah. Well, it's on your page, Royal. I know how to stream. I can bring the portable setup.
Hell yeah.
Perfect. So I got actual stream and actual. Kiru. Was like, my dad does music and can lend us some speakers and a mixer. And I was like, perfect. We got all of our equipment together. We figured out who's bringing what. And we finally had a legitimate setup that wasn't Costco karaoke speaker and phone, which I'm very eternally grateful to my friends for. I see the in-joke big piece of shit mixer. It's because Kay's dad had this old ass equipment. It still worked, but it was like kind of like crusty and falling apart. Like the outside casing was, and we're like, oh, okay, yeah, like as long as it can make it to the venue, then we can plug it in. As long as it can make it and won't explode, like we can use it. And and yeah, that's how I got all the equipment. So my friends did not let me use what I had on hand because they love me, I think. And yeah, that's how this event all came together.
Like getting into like kaigais or the kaigai idol scene, like watching that. I guess like getting to know Royal, getting to know Alex Pinko, getting to know you, through that event, and then interviewing Royal, and then Alex, and then now you, absolutely full circle, and like so absolutely cool that 5 months later all of this is happening. So yeah,
It's crazy.
Was there anything that you wanted done differently, that you could have done differently for the birthday live?
I think that maybe in hindsight, and this is something that like Royal had even said to me, where it's like, we didn't get any crowd audio on the stream, and people were, you can kind of hear it on the mics because people were like mixing and doing calls and stuff. And when I watch back the stream, it sounds like the room is silent around us, like almost silent around us, and you can kind of hear it, but like it was mainly the performer audio. And Royal was like, next time we're gonna the directional stuff so we can capture all of these shenanigans on camera. And I'm like, yes. So I think next time I do this, I want to get things in 4K, like. But I would love that.
I see. All right. So we talked about the birthday live, but while I was like preparing for this stream, I was watching some of your journal, your video journals, and I was watching the one for, I think the one after Northwest Idol Fest, which was like in, I think you uploaded in January, but Northwest Idol Fest was like in October. But like you were talking about that, and then you were hinting about one specific international event that you were doing, and then months later, it turned out to be what I would assume was Aiden's final Japan live, and we're gonna talk about that right now. So, how did that come to be? How did you get that opportunity to perform in Japan?
So, so me and Aiden have been friends, I think, basically since I entered like the community, and they started being more active or getting back into the community. So we had met just online, and years ago, and our meeting story is that Aiden was looking for a videographer for their noir music video. And I was like, wonderful, I have a camera, I can be bought for the cost of a place to stay and a sushi burrito. And Aiden was like, bet, alright, let's do it. And we've been inseparable ever since. And so Aiden, I think in the fall of 2022, had moved away to Japan for school. And they had started performing there over like those couple of years. And towards the end of 2023, Aiden was like, I'm starting to think about my last show my last show in Japan. And they were like, I kind of want to invite some kaigai idols that can actually come to Japan and perform with me. I think that'd be awesome to leave out on like a note where to show like the audience that the audience and the friends that I've built up over there, like the friends that I have back at home. Right. And I was like, awesome. And Aiden put out like a soft call on their like best friend story that was like, I would like could anyone go to Japan, and can anyone go to Japan for my last live? It will be in June before they kick me out of the country. And I was like, you know what, let me do some math, and then I was like, you know what, I'll go. I miss you, homie. And they're like, I miss you too, you're in.
Hell yeah.
And then, yeah, that's how I got out there.
Was that your first time in Japan?
Yeah, actually my first time ever leaving the country.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, ever.
I was not expecting that. I was like, maybe you went like some other country, but like first time international. Yeah. First time international. I see.
Yeah, no, first time ever.
I guess performing at Aiden's like final Japan live. What would you say was your experience like performing to that crowd? What was it like?
Oh well, we had a good mix of both Japanese idol fans and non-Japanese idol fans. People that were like just going to like visit, just they were in Japan. Tokyo is full of people. They were like just like kaigai idol fans that followed me or followed Aiden or followed Jay. And we're like, you know what? I'll be in Tokyo on what was it, June 30th?
Somewhere around that, yeah.
June,
oh no, that's June 30th.
Or June 1st.
June 1st. Yeah.
June 1st, yeah. I'll be, I'll be in Tokyo on June 1st. I can make it out to Akasaka. And also like people that were following Aiden's work while they were in Japan. So it was just an interesting crowd. I'm trying to think of like what else I could say.
How different was it, like, compared to, like, say performing in front of Northwest Idol Fest, or like that type of crowd?
I would say that the crowd in Japan was way more tame than I'm used to in the States.
Oh wow.
However, I am used for the entirety of my performances from my, I think like June or July of last year, basically Otakon 2023 up to that event. I had not gone a single show without someone lifting another person at one of my shows, like people rolling around on the ground and shouting and screaming shenanigans. I love that much. I encourage it. But it was so different because I was like, oh, maybe I was like, okay, you know what? They will like maybe no lips at this venue because the ceiling is. But surely the people will be crazy in the pit, and they they were like a little bit, but it was like way more restrained than back at home. But still shenanigans, but not as many shenanigans. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I was just like, oh.
Like, you know, it's Japan. They could have been a little bit more hyped up. Well, doing like everything. So, I see.
Yeah.
I guess coming from like performing at Aiden's Final Japan Live. Did you also like go to any like actual concerts / taibans there?
So I have two stories. The first one being me, Aiden, and Aiden's friend Santiago. Now my friend Santiago.
Santi.
That guy.
Yeah.
Santi. Went to one of Mermal's free shows. Merkmo. I think that's how that name.
Merkmo Mermal. Yeah,
Heidi.
yeah.
Heidi. The
Yeah.
Heidis. That was my first experience because we went a couple days before the live. I think like it was like the second day I was in Japan. They had like posted up on Twitter like, hey, we're doing a free event because it's like the end of the month, come on down to like this live house. It's $6. It's $6 for a drink ticket.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, cool. And we all went, and it was really fun. I stood right in the center behind everyone that was leading mixes, and was able to join in with them. My fun story from that is I was totally like ready to just like standards and the stuff that we use in the US, very like so like the stuff that you usually see in like the US for mixers.
Right.
And then I'm standing behind these bunch of old guys, and I hear Fama Jassa. I'm like, you're old. You're old. Entromix, you're old. Oops. And at the time, I did not know it.
Was like being in the crowd for a Japanese Taiwan, and then how would you compare it to like being in a crowd for like a US idol event?
I don't know how to like describe the vibe. So a lot of our idol events here are very convention based.
Right.
So you'll have the mix of people that are coming for idol stuff. And then you'll have the general con goer who is curious and is popping into the room because they paid $80 and then a couple $100 to go stay at a hotel, to fly in, stay at a hotel, and they're just trying to enjoy the convention. So you have that mix, and like the energy is really strong in one place and then very like laid back and just observatory in another. And or like observatory, but observatory in the way that's like they don't fully understand what's happening. But at like a Japanese live, everyone's there for the idol stuff.
Right.
That's the reason why you came to the live house in the first place.
Yeah.
And you do have like the people that are like really in like going ham, and then you have the people in the back that are observing, but they're all there, and the energy is all like, you can feel the camaraderie, if that makes sense. Everyone's kind of like on the same wavelength, no matter the way that they're like showing it. At the Mermal show, what I really enjoyed was the camaraderie, and I'm very sad I didn't get to speak with a lot of the markers, the Mermalwoda. They're called markers.
Markers? They're markers?
Yeah, they're called markers. They're markers, yeah. They're points. Points on a line. Santiago was explaining this to me. I was like, oh. And they were talking to me, and they were very kind. They that offered me they'd given me checky ticket and first timer stuff, and were very, very sweet. I felt so bad because I wanted to talk to them and my Japanese is non-existent. I can understand what I'm spoken to, but I can't respond in a way that matters. Right. It's like talking to a toddler. Because there was a guy that came up to me and he was showing me pictures of that he took on his phone of idols, and he was like, oh, she looks cool, right? She looks cool. And I wasn't understanding what he was saying, because he wasn't using kako or kakoi or kawaii. He was using a different descriptor, and I was like, wakanai.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And then Santiago, they knew that I'm white guy to minimal Japanese. And Santiago translated for me. I was like, oh, hi. And I was like, Heidi ga. Imitating the. And I'm like, I'm so sad that I didn't get to interact with them more, because I love the camaraderie that exists in spaces.
Right. For me, when I had to, when I did Boopon, and specifically bought Boopon for one idol, I communicated with Google Translate, and they also communicated with Google Translate. So
I didn't get a whole it didn't occur to me that I could get out my phone and start typing until I was talking with the Japanese at Aiden's event, and I was like, oh,
game changer.
I could have been doing this the whole time.
Yeah. What else? Ooh, wait. Did you do Boopon, or did you buy checkies as well?
Yeah, I did.
How
How
is that
different? It's such a different experience in the US, because you in the US you just walk up to a meet and greet table and you talk to the idol and you're like, checky please, and they're like $5, and you're like, wonderful, thank you, here you go, and then you go over there and you take it. In Japan, it's we had at this particular show we had to buy the tickets before, while they were the staff was setting up. And we, they did all the stuff there, and then after the show you could buy additional tickets at the staff table and stuff like that. But the idols never handled any of the money or anything like that. And it was the line, you get in the line, you ask the guy at the end of the line for
the sign
picture, the marker, and you go up and you have a minute and a half, take a checky, and they talk with you a little bit. I think I got a little bit more time because I took a picture. Why am I forgetting her name? She's very beautiful. I'm not immune to pretty lady. She's orange.
Oh, I don't know the names.
She's very tall. She's the tall Mermal member. She's very beautiful. She's orange. If anyone in the chat can tell me her name,
I will Google it.
Yes.
Mashima.
Mashima. Okay. Yeah, she is so pretty. Santiago helped Santiago got permission for staff to translate for me, and I got a little bit extra time just because of that. And I'm talking rapid fire because I'm I want to respect your time. And the staff is dude, it's okay. You can we understand you have a translator. We're just and I'm I know I want to respect your time. So it's very efficient, I think is the best word.
I see.
And like very timed out and everything compared to the US where you can just waddle up and the idol handles the money and then you go over and then some bystander helps you take the checky and then you sit there and then you can talk however long it takes to draw on the Polaroid and everything unless there's a massive line behind you.
Yeah. I feel like from like the several like Taibans I went to, if they're like indie idols and like they're not signed to like any agency, they're just doing it by themselves. It's very much just of like DIY, like do it yourself. Yeah, like the bice. It's very much like the US. Like everyone does everything. So, and like if they're part of an agency, they'll have like the manager like do the checky and like have a way more like organized thing to do like the lines and stuff. But it's very, very interesting to see like the differences, you know. Yeah. I want to say, or I want to ask, like after performing and also after being in a crowd in Japan, what are like some things that you would like the US scene to like replicate?
I'd love to see more like standalone events. Um, we're starting to get those, but I'm trying to think. So like when we were in Tokyo, I was like looking online. I was like, oh, maybe there's some stuff that I can while I'm here, I can go see. And again, Tokyo was full of people all the time, and I'm looking and I'm like, wow, there's like 20 different events happening on the same day.
Yeah.
Holy shit, how do I fit this one schedule? I'm spoiled for choice. Like, I like the idol group, Super Macaroni Salad. So the day of like Aiden's last live, I wake up in the morning, I open Twitter. They didn't announce like a venue for like an event, and I assume that they went back to like Nagoya or went to Hiroshima or something. And I'm looking through their Twitter and I'm like, Super Macaroni Salad is doing a Taiban in Tokyo.
Ooh.
With 15 minutes away from the venue that I'm going to. It is happening during my set.
No.
There was like a bunch of other stuff where like, oh wow, like so much stuff. Like I also like Big Angel, and they like had announced that they were doing like a like festival, like I guess it was like a food festival thing, that or like a music fest or something like that.
Right.
It was really, it had like food involved, and they went, and they didn't like announce like where it would be until like the day before, and I woke up one morning again on the day and I was like, fuck, I could have gone to see Big Angel.
Damn.
That's like a 10-minute train ride from here for a free event. But there's so much infrastructure in the US, all hell would break loose. And I'm like, oh, I would love to see more standalone events. I love the intimacy of like the live houses I went to, where it like fits maximum 40 people shoulder to shoulder, and
Right.
it's like it's nice. Like I want to be like, oh, it's nice, but like it's a different vibe than like a big convention ball.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cause like the US, I want to say like the US idol scene needs to break out of just doing the conventions and like, you know, with like Idol Party and like Natsumatsuri, and like the success from like the both of them, and like we need more of those, to be honest.
Yeah.
For sure.
I've been trying to cook up. I know I want to do, no promises, but I know I want to do another birthday event for myself that is like a standalone event, because I really enjoy doing that, and I'd love to be able to run more IRL events with the Tri-State Idol Union, which we'll get into later. But like I would really like to bring more of that there. I want to run events in a grody little venue where you pay for a drink. Like it'd be a nice change of pace.
For sure. Speaking of the Tri-State Idol Union, Pan. Well, technically, you're admin for 3 different things. Well, 2, technically 3. You're an admin for the Tri-State Idol Union, the International Idol Network, and you're also a staffer for Northwest Idol Fest. I want to ask, what is the Tri-State Idol Union and what is the International Idol Network?
So, the Tri-State Idol Union is a resource community for idols based in the Northeast. So, basically we like help connect performers together, and we also connect like fans. And I'm a bad pitch person for this, but basically we try to connect performers, fans, and everyone's idols together and help people continue on with their craft. We try to run meetups. We do events postings for all of our local performers that submit stuff to us. We have like a little crowdfunding section where people are currently crowdfunding for like their like music or selling merch. Like they get a little spot in our server. It's just a big community hub for the idol community in the Northeast.
I see. How did you like get involved with it?
So, back in 2021, a person named Meru, who is kind of like in and out of the community now, started a Tri-State Idol Union with me and a couple of other founding staff members. And initially it was only for New Jersey, New York, and PA, which is why it is called like the Tri-State Idol Union.
Right.
And then Meru left TIU, the server in my control, at the start of towards the end of 2021 or start of 2022, and I like, you know, we're not really doing much with this, but this could be great. And I started like pulling it together and revamping our social media and thinking this could be a really great way to like get everyone in the Northeast back together, especially since at the time it was like we're still coming back from the pandemic, we're trying to find each other again, like let's do this. And so for the next, I want to say 2-ish years, between the start of 2022 and the end of 2023, it was just me back there, really, with like 1 or 2 staff members that could contribute when they could. But I spent like a full time trying to build TIU into what it is now. And now I have a bunch of people. Now that the TIU has grown a bit like more and more, I now have staff that have been absolutely fantastic to help me run this network for our community.
I see. So, Tri-State Idol Union, you are basically the backbone of it, the foundation, the architect of it. But also, you are also involved with the International Idol Network. What is that?
So the International Idol Network is a resource community for idols and fans of idols on an international scale.
Whoa.
We are the largest, I believe, idol resource community for kaigai. Let me look at our member stats real quick, because I think we broke a milestone recently.
Ooh.
All right, we have almost 1,000 members currently.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And we TIU and IIN are partnered together. IIN is also partnered with Northwest Idol Fest to help to help each other out with community related thing.
I see. Also, speaking of Northwest Idol Fest, you're a staffer for NWIF. What specifically do you what do you do for NWIF?
So I worked at registration.
Oh, oh shit.
Yeah. So I'm not staffing this year because feature performer, which essentially makes me like a convention guest, and that's a conflict of interest.
Right.
But I from in so I did registration for Northwest Idol Fest. I volunteered on a whim because I wanted to go so bad in 2022 and check it out. This is, you'll notice a pattern of Northwest Idol Fest 2020 the Genesis. I was like, you know, I want to check this out, and you know, I want to go so bad. I want a ticket, so I'm gonna go work at the convention and be a part of it. And I volunteered, and they interviewed me, and I got in. It's registration. It's registration, and I did registration that year, and I did registration this past year, and I intend to do registration at Idol Fest future events because I know Northwest Idol Fest is leaving Seattle for the rest of time until they no longer need me, until my job is taken over by the registration robot.
Oh no, not the robots.
No.
So yeah, so you pretty much, well, you're like part of like 3 different things that are very beneficial to the kaigai idol community. Well, helping with NWIF, helping with the Tri-State Idol Union, helping with National Idol Network, very much. So cool. I don't know. I lost my train of thought, but that's awesome. That's really awesome that like you're doing a part for the community. So, yeah. I guess we talked about your past. We talked about the present. I guess we have to go to the future. Stream Fables to the future, I guess. Let's say
Cooler Guardian. Fable Cooler Guardian.
Yeah. Is there like any bucket list things that you want to achieve in your idol career?
So I can't reveal one of them yet, but I did just achieve a stage that I wanted to go to. Ever since pre-debut. I'm not allowed to reveal that yet, but if you're in the southeastern United States in the winter, then you should come to it. And that's about all I can say. But I think my big goal is to my next big goals are to release a full-length album. I've been working on an EP of stuff that I've I've started learning how to make music and like do lyric writing and stuff. And I want to release an EP of like stuff that either has compositions by me or lyrics by me or both. That is my next goal. But after that, I want to release a full-length album. I want to be able to perform a full set of original music at some point in the future. Like a full hour-long set. You think what else? I'd like to perform at more independent venue events. And another smaller goal is I'd like to return to Cal. And I want to tour again.
I see. Oh, right. Yeah, because like in some of the footage that you sent me to make the B-roll, or like to make the intro, there was like footage of you performing at SoCal Idol Fest. So that was like interesting to see. Like, you know, being from like the East Coast and just traveling to West Coast just for that. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We, I guess, Idolize has a bunch of idols that are just starting out or like recently debuted. Do you have any advice for someone that is just starting out in the kaigai idol community?
I have two pieces of advice. My first one is, if you think your idea is too weird or too out there or whatever, and that you're worried about the perception of it, but not because it like hurts anyone or because it's awful or like because it's questionable, but because you think other people would find it weird, just go for it. Whatever it is, just go for it. Find what makes you happy and continue going for it. The second one is, always be kind. Always make the choice to be kind wherever you can. And this is something I've talked about in TIU a bit. Whenever the question comes up of like, how can I best make connections with other people in the community when it feels like everyone is above me, and it's no one is above anyone else, ever. No one is ever above anyone else. No one is ever below you, and no one is ever above you. You're all the same. You might have different skills. You might be in different places. You might be in, you might be like, this person might have been doing like different experience levels, but you are all, no one is worse than anyone else. No one is on a lower tier. And carrying that with you will make, and like choosing to be kind and treating everyone as like as if they are your equal is the best way to make connections in the community.
Right.
Be nice. Be nice and stay weird. Okay.
I see.
But I don't know if that is helpful. But...
That is very much helpful because, like, you don't want to be a dickhead in the community. You don't want to be like have that that reputation of being a hothead, and that's not great.
Yeah, mistakes happen. Like, everyone is human, but it's all about how you choose to the choices that you make. So
For sure. Being a part of the kaigai idol community, being very much involved in the community, how would you improve the kaigai idol community over the next few years?
I would like to create more performance spaces in my local community. One of my big personally is to even back when I started with TIU and signed on to be one of the founding staff, is that I've always wanted to give back to this community because I love it. I love this shit. So I'd like to give back as much as I can, and I think my next step for doing that is creating more performance spaces, whether that be independent events or at conventions, and making the spaces at those conventions even better, and making our venue events better and better and better and better. Through IIN, I currently work with Cherry, Rue, and Lily on IDOLEYZ, which is our quarterly zine that we do. And we cover goings on in the community and news and other things like that. And I'm currently working on a big spread about Colin Mix, Woodage, and Anikura, because that's also the backbone of the scene up here in the Northeast. and these people are my friends. And I see the hard work. I see the hard work that they put in to create, like in the case of Aniwaza, to create like English language resource for learning about Urige. And I see Annie Party creating quality Annie-Kuro events in the United States. And um, I see my friends who run Yeah Lights like running a business that makes buying pen lights and like Lumika products and like King Blades and stuff accessible in the US. And then I also see my friends Ashes and Scrub and like teaching people in the US about comics and idol culture. And they're doing the hard work of bringing idol culture home. And I want to feed I want to continue meeting people that are doing cool stuff. And as long as I'm part of IIN, I'd love that to IDOLEYEZ and spread that reach even further. And then at Northwest Idol Fest, I love being a part of events that do so much to elevate the community. I will always give my support behind things that elevate our community more and more.
Yeah, like Northwest Idol Fest is basically our Super Bowl in the kaigai community, I guess. Like literally everyone is just I guess anticipating it, and like everyone's going there, so it's very much the big event for our scene.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And nothing's ever done alone, right? Like it's like the great man theory, where it's like one great man. It's never one great man. It's always a group of people that work together to create cool stuff. So me doing stuff in the Northeast, it's not just me that the way that it is. I help facilitate Tri-State Idol Union, but I'm also working with my fabulous staff that help me out and run their own things for the community themselves and bring their knowledge in places that like I can't go. And with IIN, I work with a bunch of really cool people that have been around in the community for years. And with Northwest Idol Fest, I work with people that like are just really trying to do independent events specifically for idols in the States, and it's awesome. I just love like working with so many interesting and cool people. So it's not just me alone working to better the idol community. I'm one of many hands.
Yeah. I want to ask, what do you plan on doing after being an idol?
I have no idea. I have two answers for this. That's like every 3 months I say to myself, you know what, I could pack this in months. And then I never do. Because I find that I still love doing it. And then there's like a part of me that's like, I want to continue doing this until I'm old and decrepit. But if there ever comes a time where I stop for no matter what, whether it's because it's time, it's time for me to wrap it up, or I just or I need to move on. I'd love to work in a creative career. I do all of my own stuff. Like I do all of the art for my project, birthday guy. I like design all the t-shirts. All of the album art you see here is done by me and printed by like my dad who helps me. Like I draw on the label. It's all me back here. I'm the one that packs and ships the order, and I know that's not unusual, but like I really love the creative aspect of it, the way that it's helped me like, and the way that it's like helped me learn so many different skills. I would love to pursue a creative career after this.
Yeah, like being very much dedicated to like doing everything, like the art, like everything in I guess your idol career is very much. How am I supposed to describe it? Like, beat my chest. Oh my god. Hell yeah. Like, that's awesome. What else? Ooh, one question that like I always ask at the tail end. What would the current you tell the Pawn Ranger that was about to debut?
Build it and they will come. I think about myself like about to debut and feeling like I'm the odd one out. And you know, and I see myself now, I've been very, as the community has continued to grow and change, there is a spot for you. And that I very much thought about quitting like a year in, and I was like, no, you need to keep going with this. You need to keep going. There is a place for you, and you will meet amazing people the way, and you will get to experience so many amazing things. Do not give up.
Hell yeah. But yeah, that's actually really good advice. Like, if you're telling yourself like just debuting and like, you know, just to keep going, like you really just have to keep going. Like, yeah. What else? Ooh. Any upcoming gigs you want to promote?
Oh boy, come on down to Aiden's birthday live at Only Vibes in Baltimore,
Maryland.
In Baltimore, Maryland, on September 28th. It's mandatory.
Mandatory if you're on the East Coast.
If you're within a 6-hour driving distance from Baltimore, Maryland, you need to come to Aiden's birthday show.
Yeah. You'll watch so many idols like Pawn Ranger, Aiden, Alex Pinku, Sonadera, MS Paint Palette. The works.
Come on down.
All awesome people.
I'm like, I feel like I'm trapped between wrestling promo and like furniture store. Come on down to Aiden's birthday live. Come get your ass kicked.
Just on stage, just chop someone.
On stage. And I see in the chat it's giving furniture store. I gotta get my wrestling promo beef like up. Like I'm I love my friends too much to want to beat their asses, but and then after that I have Northwest Idol Fest in Seattle.
Yeah.
Insert the Marriott that it takes place in here. It's
the
one by the airport.
Doubletree Marriott near SeaTac. That one. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a shuttle.
Yeah.
It's my first guest performance ever. Like guest at a convention. I'm considered under featured performer, which makes me like a community guest, but please don't. I had a really great year last year at Northwest Idol Fest, where all of my metrics looked really good to the staff, enough that they invited me and are willing to comp my stuff for the first time ever. So I'm like, please don't. I'm gonna get closer to the camera. Please don't make a fool out of me. Please, like I need at least like maybe 10 over. Please don't make them regret their decision.
Go.
Please come.
To Pawn Set.
Please come.
Go to Pawn Set. I will be going if it doesn't conflict with anything. But yeah, I'll make it a priority to go to your set.
Come on down. We're also doing a flower stand. I see. Yeah. As I'm watching this, I know there's a delay. I see like the QR code coming up. if you scan that QR code when it comes back up, my staff are doing a flower stand project for me, which has made me extremely emotional because they were like, "Do you want a flower stand?" And I was like, "That would be nice." And they went, "Bet. What are you gonna do for it? Secret." Okay. So I learned. I just saw because they posted posts for it on social media, the like flower stand that they trying to get, and it's really gorgeous. And that my friend Melancholia is doing the art. And I weep. I weep. um, and they're like, yeah, if you get a if we go over, then we're gonna get a second flower stand and a third one, or make it bigger. And I'm like, so it'd be nice if you guys help support their project. Please make me cry when I coach the but yeah, yay, yippee! That's about all I can wraps. But I'm basically booked out for the rest of 2024. Like once a month. For the rest of 2024. When the events that I'm doing, keep an eye on my socials and my website, because starting in September, I'll start being allowed to post about the events. So, am I coming to your neighborhood?
Oh,
maybe.
Maybe. Well, I'm able to go to Northwest Idol Fest, which is on the West Coast, so that's pretty much convenient for me. So, yeah.
Yippee.
Yippee. All right. So, we have reached the end of Idolize, but we have one reoccurring tradition for every Idolize guest and every Idolize episode, I think. Yeah. I've done it with everyone. So, this thing is called the worst pep talk ever, where I, for 1 minute, give you the worst pep talk ever. So
I might cry.
It's bad. It's bad every single time. So we got 1 minute. Pon, you are unique. You do not have to be like boxed in with like everyone. You don't have to be cutesy. You don't have to like. It's fucking Idol. It's do whatever you want. I love the Tokusatsu concept. It is something unique, something very much unique compared to like everyone else. It makes you stand out, which is a good thing, especially in this community. I love it. I love your original songs. I love Guardian. I love Sanjo, and I really would love to hear more original stuff from you. I hope you can go to the West Coast more other than Northwest Idol Fest, but we'll see if like there's any more standalone events, maybe IPLA or like something. But yeah, you are cool, and you do so much for the kaigai idol community in the US and maybe international. Yeah, International Idol Network. So yeah, you're absolutely one of the best. You are the foundation for the kaigai idol community, I would say. Yeah.
Bro, I'm gonna weep.
So,
Bro, I'm gonna cry.
yeah. 118. Yeah. Horrible. Every single time. Horrible pep talk.
No, it's
ever.
good.
Nah.
It's good if it comes from the heart.
Nah, I don't know. Every single time these are so bad because like I have to think on the spot, but yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good.
But yes, follow Pawn Ranger. Do I have the command? I do have the command. Follow Pawn Ranger
Yippee.
on Twitter, on the website, pawnranger.net, and youtube.com/channel/ Yeah. They're cool. They're really, really cool, actually. What else? Oh, duh. Next week, our next guest for Idolize. I don't even have the promo up. I don't even have it finished. I don't have the video up. We are just doing it raw. Ugh.
As I said, Itsumodori. Fuck it, we ball.
Fuck it, we ball. Our next guest for Idolize will be next week. It will August 21st. So very much quick turnout. Our next guest is not an idol, but a prolific member of the Woto gay community, the Chica gay community in the US. This is Peony Astera, VTuber slash Woto gay god. Yeah, they're cool. We'll be interviewing them next week. I don't even have the promo up. I was so busy, and I'm still trying to figure out the questions to ask them. But yeah, Peony's next. And then, yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And I think that is it for this episode of Idolize. Pon, do you have like any recommendations for someone to raid here on Twitch?
Oh god.
Wait, is
Peony alive?
oh she is.
Yeah, go.
All right, we'll be raiding them. Very much timely. Okay, cool. Unless Pon, do you have like any recommendations or not?
Nah, I don't.
Okay. Yeah. So
Go to the next guest.
go into the next guest. We'll be raiding Peony, Astera. Yeah. Follow Pon. Follow Peony. I don't know what else to say. Go to Northwest Idol Fest, please. Go watch Pon there, and a lot of other idols. Yes. Oh, if you buy a ticket, mention Pon. Mention Pon's name. Don't mention
Make
Fluff's.
me an asset to this convention.
Don't mention Fluff's name. Don't mention Fluff's name. Mention Pon's name. Yeah.
Make me an asset to this convention. If at least one.
All right. Take care. Brush hair. Be kind. Rewind. We'll be going to Peony Astera's stream right here, right now. Ending screen. Going now. Bye. Bye.